On this episode of the Who Is This podcast, we had a great time talking with one of our local emergency room doctors, Bryson Bendall. Bryson tells us about his journey becoming a doctor and how his wife played a critical role in helping him do that. We also talk about the importance of having outlets outside of work, especially with a job that comes with as much stress as Bryson's. Bryson turns to the outdoors and spending time with his family to get away from the stresses his job can bring. He has even gone into filming some of his and his friends' outdoor experiences. Make sure to check him out on Instagram and YouTube at BPAZ Outdoors. Bryson is an all-around good guy and definitely someone you want taking care of you or a loved one in an emergency situation. Welcome to the Who Is This podcast.
Thank you, Isaac.
Bryson Bendall, we're excited to have you here, man.
Hello.
We were just talking a little bit about my wife had a leg lengthening surgery. I don't think she cares if people knows that.
Yeah,
But
you should clear that right now.
it's out of the bag. But so you're a doctor, so I'm kind of curious. Do you know like how that works?
Okay, so that's totally orthopedic surgery, and we have an orthopedic surgeon in town for that reason. No, ultimately, I think they get in there, they cut the bone and somehow stretch it and allow it to grow between those two pieces.
Yeah.
So it grows bone. Those pieces are so.
But what I don't understand is because that's how I understand it. She said they literally cut her bone in half and put the rod, and then it connects. But they took the rod out afterwards.
Well, because then you have bone in between. So it's like full on femur after that, right? Pretty sure.
But I know, but I'm imagining a bone going around the rod, right? Anyways,
Don't look at me. Yeah, this is why we have really smart surgeons.
Yeah.
I am one of those dumb ER doctors.
So okay, whatever.
Keep me in the corner, like right as there.
Whatever, dude. So you're an ER doc.
I am. Yeah. One of the local ER docs.
So how long have you been doing that?
So, been graduated from residency for about 4 years, almost exactly 4 years actually, and have been here the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah, right here at Mount Graham Regional Medical Center.
Yeah. See, that's another thing that I have this image. When I first met Bryson, he's married to someone that graduated with my sister. And so and because he's a doctor and he's just a very handsome guy, very distinguished, very proper. I always feel like you're a lot older than me, and you're not.
No.
So I look up to you, though.
I appreciate that.
So yeah. So you've only been out of school. I realize that you've only been out for 4 years.
4 years. I mean, and then you do 3 years of residency before that, right? So I've been out of medical school for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, only 4 years. Yeah.
Where did you do your residency at?
Tucson. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right at University of
So isn't that kind of lucky? Because with residency, don't you like apply to a couple and you kind of have to go wherever get in or wherever they send you?
I think I interviewed at like 10 different places, as far as North Carolina, like Chapel Hill. And so, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's pretty highly competitive and you just gotta kind of do your thing.
Did you send this multiple and you got to kind of pick, or did you just jump to the first one that accepted you? Or
so the way that residency picking works is really weird. It's called a match process, and they put it in this big algorithm. So in other words, they put it in this big algorithm where you rank your top like places you want to go, and then the programs rank their top people that they want. Somehow they mesh that together and they actually pick a spot. So I don't know. I wasn't on anybody else's list. They just say, this is the place you're going. You have to pick that pretty much. And if you don't, it's like you restart the process over. You have a gap here. It's a mess. So yeah, that was it.
That was probably pretty stressful.
It was extremely stressful, but it was good. I mean, we went exactly where we were supposed to go. And in the end, like looking at it. And, Tucson was great. So
that's perfect. Because you're from Sierra Vista, correct? Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Born in Tucson, but raised in Sierra Vista and graduated high school in Sierra Vista.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So rewinding a little bit, tell us about what made you want to get into the medical field? Tell us that story.
So, there's a couple of things that I remember from early childhood, because by the time I was like going to go to college, I was pretty much set on medicine. And I think these two things were kind of what put me there. Number one, in third grade, we had one of those projects where we write a letter to some person in the community that, we look up to and just try to kind of look towards a career. And for some reason, I picked a cardiothoracic surgeon in Tucson.
What?
a cardiothoracic surgeon. So somebody who deals with surgery of the heart and like the thoracic area. And they sent me a letter back, and it was kind of one of those, I guess, pivotal things that where I thought that's super cool, right? Exactly, yeah. And so there was that, and then at some point in high school, I don't know when exactly, and I don't remember, exactly all the details of the conversation, but I told my mom that I wanted to be like, I don't know, something, and it was, I don't know, just something. And she's like, Bryson, you are talented. You've got a good mind, and you get good grades, and you're good at school. And she's like, I think that you need to do something to really try to help other people. And for her, that meant something in medical field. Now, everybody helps people in their own way. You guys do mortgages, which helps a lot of people, right? I like to make the joke of like the people that make toilet paper are really, really important. They make us a lot, right?
Yeah.
But she was like 2020. Oh, no, they're all elite. All loaded now. Super rich. Right? But anyway, that kind of meant that the healthcare field, I think that's what she was really trying to kind of push me toward. And I kind of realized I enjoyed science. I enjoyed biology, and that's where it started.
Either of your parents in that line of work or anything? No, a lot of times that happens, right? Both, my dad doing this, so I tend to do the same thing here.
Not at all. My mom was a homemaker, stayed at home, and then my dad was a banker. So my mom has a couple of siblings that are nurses, and then my grandma, her mom was a nurse as well. So that's really the only, I guess, healthcare related fields that are in my family. Which I don't know if that made a difference or not for me.
Did you use them as resources, like when you started talking about what do I need to do, or
not so much? What's funny about that actually is the resource that I kind of to fill in some gaps. I went to EA for a year, went on my mission, an LDS mission, came back and was thinking I was going to do nursing school because I didn't have money for an undergraduate degree and it was expensive and all that. So I was like, I'll do an associate's degree through nursing. And so I actually reached out to Cassidy, my wife, to get some information at a nursing school. And, that was actually my resources, some law resources. I was like, no, I didn't really.
How did you know Cassidy to reach out to her? Did you just made her EA or?
Well,
no, you were going to EA at the same time.
We did. We went to EA for a year together, but we actually have connections before that. So, and that's my connection to the Hugh Valley. Cassidy, my wife, is born and raised in Thatcher, and way more people that listen to this are going to know her than probably know me, which is awesome because she's incredible. But her mom and my parents went to high school together in Sierra Vista, and so all growing up, we would get a Stevens family Christmas card, and I would kind of continue to scope out their oldest daughter.
Stop.
Yeah. Yes, this has been in the works for a while. Let's come clean. So,
Bryson's bedroom in his house just has all these Christmas cards from over the year.
Cassidy, 1999. So, but after high school, I was going to go to EA, and that was kind of the plan. I had several buddies that were going, and my mom just mentioned, she's like, hey, make sure you look out for the Stevens kids, because Cassie's older brother, Brigham, and then Cassie were both going to EA at the time. So she's like, look out for them. And so sure enough, at EA, that was the funnest year of my entire life. That was my first kind of taste of the Hugh Valley. And I fell in love. Dude, I did fall in love with it. But it was because it was so much fun, and meaning like, I had some schoolwork, but I really didn't have a lot of responsibilities. And so a lot of the time was spent in the hills and, just having some fun. So, but anyway, that's where we met each other officially, and we were just friends. There was no romance. So
who was that? That 1 year at EA was before or after your mission?
Before, 2006 to 2007.
Gotcha.
So yeah, good times. How old were you?
Hold on. How old are you right now?
35.
So what was 30? How old were you when you graduated?
2006. Oh, how old was I? I was just.
So were you young for your years?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my other confusion.
Yeah.
Because age-wise, we're really close. School-wise, there's a little bit of a
because a gap, right? So I was like the youngest kid, one of the youngest kids in my class. Okay. I was still 17 when I graduated.
And you graduated in 2006. So yeah, you were young, because I was almost turning 19 when I graduated, and I graduated in 09.
Yeah. So there you go.
So that makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's why I think there's a big gap.
Yeah.
Inch-wise, we're not as far off.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you went on your mission, met Cassidy, you guys hit it off. Was she writing you on your mission or anything?
No, no romance at all. Okay. She was very much looking to I shouldn't say this. Say it. Okay. She was looking to get married, and I was not one of those people that would fit that bill. Definitely not. And so, no, we just knew each other through just mutual friends, and she came over to my house for a couple parties and volleyball, intramural volleyball and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And I remember the way that I remember it is our team always beat her team pretty much every single time.
She's not competitive or anything.
Does she remember that the same way?
Absolutely. Yeah, she does. You can ask her.
Yeah, Stevenson's usually aren't.
No, that's
Yeah.
well, I mean, like sports isn't really their thing.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're not super into that. And I mean, they're not competitive about absolutely everything, anything that you ever talk to them about. So, I'm getting
for good and for bad. I guess no.
I'm doing a loan for McKay right now because he's moving. It's just Cassidy's younger brother, and he's very competitive as far as like interest rates, shopping stuff. But we hooked him up, and he got a really good rate. But Stevens is very competitive.
Yeah,
that's why I love him.
And so we was roommates with McKay and Provo, and
Were you?
I think that's where I got my
taste of the Stevens.
Yeah. Very friend Taylor was right next door.
Well, they're probably even more competitive within the family.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That monopoly is crazy.
What it is settlers.
Obviously, how they settlers playing.
Yeah. And now we've done some code names in like the last 5 years, man. And it gets ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Settlers is a competitive game. We played that growing up in high school, and I mean, multiple times I would go board. I would storm up into their side room after I lost because stupid Bethany stayed with the longest road. And I had it the entire game down to nowhere. She plays a freaking Settlers card and has 2 free roads, and
best thing is not forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it multiple times. I mean, we got very heated. But I think that's a common thing for big families.
Yeah.
Being competitive. Because I'm the youngest of 6 kids. I think there's about 6 in Cassidy's family.
7. She's the second of 7.
Sir, yeah.
Stevens, fun fact, Stevens are part of the 5-boy, 2-girl club.
That's it.
My family.
Yeah, there you go.
It's 2 girls.
It's a good club to be part of.
There's a bunch of them in town.
Really?
I've got a running list. There's like 10 families with 5 boys and 2 girls. It's the weirdest phenomenon.
How funny.
And then I think like a lot of them close in the same age groups. Like, you're probably on the older side. You have some older siblings.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Well, and so Michael Romney was on here not too long ago. He talked about that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you mentioned? I think you mentioned that on the podcast, my club. Maybe it was Michael's. Yeah.
Well, the competitiveness comes from what he's talking about, survival, right?
Yeah, survival.
Where the groceries are put on the table, and it's just like a mad dash of what you can grab first.
Yeah, that's.
What about your family?
So I'm the oldest of 7. So I can relate a little.
How many boys you girls?
4 and 3. Oh, we're awkward. I know. We added an extra 3rd girl. Yeah.
3 girls.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
And you're the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cassie's the second oldest. So,
right.
Yeah. So you guys have a lot of the same age of siblings.
Yeah. So our family's like a little bit younger than our family, but definitely, a lot of people mention.
Okay, so came back from your mission.
Yes.
Were you married? So tell us about that. Yeah, tell us how that happened.
Just like kind of how we met.
How that. I mean, the story started. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and it really was. It was just like I was interested in going to nursing school, and I was on Facebook like a few days after I got home, and Cassidy had posted on my wall, hey, welcome home. And I was like, oh, I wonder who she ended up marrying. And I got on that, and it was Elvis. And I was like,
I gave on.
I know, right? Okay. Put her on the list.
At the top.
And and I was only one person.
Yeah.
So, and then anyway, string of events, we were able to meet up, I think a couple weeks later. And I show up at her doorstep, and I'm like, hey, tell me a little bit about nursing school and about yourself.
And you were married 2 weeks after that.
Well, it was like, it's 10 months, but it wasn't too long. Yeah, I didn't date anybody else after that. So we talked that night, and then I was like, hey, can I take you? This is actually when I knew she was the one. I was like, can I take you to breakfast in the morning? She's like, yeah, but don't get any ideas like I'm getting dressed. Like I will be in my pajamas. I'm like, you are the girl for me.
That's next. Yes. That's awesome. So at what point did you switch from nursing school to, what you're doing?
So, Cassidy, and I can't remember if we were engaged yet or if like kind of everything was looking like we were going.
She's going to be mad for not hearing him say that.
Yeah, no. Anyways, she probably remembers the exact date, but she just brought it up one day. She's like, I know your dream has always been to go to medical school, and so I can pay for an undergrad degree for you. And I was like, did you just say that you're going to be my sugar mama? Like, did I just sign to be my sugar mama? And I was like, it wasn't much of a conversation. I said, absolutely, let's do that. But no, honestly though, she's like, we can do this like together. I'm willing to sign up for this. And I'm like, that's incredible. I like that. That's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so, but she had a little caveat to it. So she's an RN. And I should say BSN, got to give her full credit, but,
what's the difference?
She just has a bachelor's.
Oh, okay.
So she did a little more schooling.
Okay.
She was working in downtown Phoenix at a hospital, and it's a teaching hospital. And she worked around a bunch of people who were residents who were in training. And she saw the lives of residents that they lived at the hospital, and it was pretty hard. She's like, I would rather you do something else, like maybe dentistry, because there's not typically a residency after that. And maybe that would be a better.
Well, what is the deal with that? Like, why do they structure this program to where being a resident after medical school is insane? And I feel like that would be dangerous.
Well, and so they've done a lot of things in the last, let's say, 10 years to protect the residents, but also the patients, because, before it was a little dangerous. There was people working too many hours for too long. And
is that just hospitals taking advantage of what they're not like their one was? Is that,
Well, maybe there's part of that. I also think that what you need to know and experience to be a good physician, especially in your niche, in your specific specialty, is a lot. And the only way that you really, really get to learn that and know that and have that become part of you is by being there in that situation at the hospital. Surgeons, especially, will talk about this. Like let's say they work 50% of the days. They say, oh, well, I missed 50% of the good surgeries. Like, in other words, I wish I was there for every single surgery so I could experience every single surgery. So they've had to kind of narrow that or bring that back a little bit, because you got people that were,
so they're just trying to increase some days at 3 years, and that's
and every specialty is a little different. But for ER, 3 years, it's like this is your opportunity to see literally as much as possible, and to have somebody who's there with you, fully trained and attending doctors.
Which and that makes sense, because I completely agree that the best. I'd say pretty much every job, the best training is actual experience. I say that to all our new loan originators all the time. Like, you're not going to really learn loans until you start doing some loans, and that's just the best way to do it. So that makes sense. I'm curious. Do you think there's an aspect of it of probably not the purpose of doing it, but that's definitely probably a result of weeding some people out? Maybe some. That'd be a tough decision to make. I might go to medical school, but
I think a lot of the weeding out is done even before medical school. Yeah. Honestly, that's where most of the weeding out is done. By medical school, they're already, I guess, invested in you being there for the whole 4 years. They want you to succeed. They want you to get through, because then it looks good to them.
Right.
As a medical school, if you go and then get a prestigious residency program and things like that.
I think I hear about this with nursing school all the time. I don't know if it's the same with before you were in medical school. Did you have to work at like a nursing home or anything? Because I feel like that's where a lot of people, we just have is that.
No, you're exactly right. Absolutely. So, there's lots of different aspects of applying, and you want to kind of have a little research experience and good grades and all that stuff, but clinical experience is a big part of that. So it was, the summer of 2011, I went and did a CNA course. So just like, 6 week program or something like that, where I became CNA certified nursing assistant. And the last week of that is a clinical experience. And I was at a nursing home, and I still think that was the longest week of my entire life. It was really hard and really gross and really sad in a lot of ways. And it was challenging. So, but then I took that, and we actually moved here after I graduated from ASU. and lived with John and Trina for about 6 months. And I got a job at the ER here as a tech in the ER, a patient care tech in the ER, kind of like a CNA sort of role. And I worked there for like 5 months. And that's really what solidified, like, I love this and I want to do the ER, and this is kind of my place and these are my people.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool.
So, okay. And so at what point when that decision was made, you had already done a lot of schooling that you hadn't actually started. I don't understand. Like, so at what point do you have to decide this is the field I'm going in? You know what I mean?
Totally. So luckily the decision was medical school or dental school pretty much. And the prerequisites for both of those programs were the exact same. And so I started entertaining the dental route. Mm-hmm. And then, so did another semester of school. And then that next summer, I did 100 hours of dental shadowing. And I came away from that and I told Cassie, listen, I really like the patient interaction, but I absolutely hate dentistry. I am not going to be confined to one nasty hole for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so ultimately that was when we made the decision. She's like, okay, fine. You got to do what you're going to love. And if that's medical school, I'm on board with that. And, that means residency. And that means the trials of that.
Yeah.
And we'd already started a family. So I started medical school with a 9-month-old. We had 2 more kids in medical school and a couple more residencies. So that was all.
And where was medical school at?
It was in downtown Phoenix. So the U of A has a campus in downtown Phoenix. So we lived in downtown Phoenix for 4 years, which was,
what was that like?
It was an incredible experience. It was a little sketchy at times, but the Children's Museum is right down there. The zoo is right down there. So our kids had all kinds of really cool experiences.
So a lot of that shows.
I went to a handful, but that was literally down the street. So, and it was good because it was close to medical school and close to a lot of my rotations. And so I was not spending an hour or 2 a day, commuting from one spot to another to get back home. So that was good. Back home with family and kids and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Cool. So, all right. So finished medical school, finished residency. How'd you get hooked up at the hospital here? Probably mainly because of that little 6-month stint.
So
did you have
so long? Yes. Yeah. And it's crazy how many people are still there from even then. As a matter of fact, we have on the board, we have this like welcoming these new employees, and there is CJ Gardner, he's a PA that works at the ER right now. Mm-hmm. And there's another nurse, Alyssa Bateman, who actually now works at, on the reservation. But us 3 started as techs at the same time. So it's just kind of crazy because we all kind of, got a little more training and came back and went to the same facility later. But so that was but then in residency, I also did a month-long rotation here and met David Bryce, the ER director, and, reconnected with Jason Branch, another ER doctor here, Clay Hargis, who is, a legend of the community, but also an amazing ER doctor. And that was where I got to see firsthand for a month and enjoyed and honestly really loved it. And that was where I was kind of like, okay, this is the spot for me. It took a little bit of some negotiations to get over here, but, we knew that we wanted to be back here, raise our kids here. This is where we want to be. Town, Arizona. So we're super happy to be back and working here.
Which is the story of a lot of people.
Yeah.
People like a cool place.
Definitely.
Did you ever consider any other specialties while you were in school, or was it always, I want to be in the ER?
That's a good question. I tried to keep my mind as open as possible.
Yeah.
And I tell people that because ER was very much the highest on my list, even from day one. But there were 2 weeks, I think, in second year that I was like, oh, I'm going to be a radiologist because radiology looks incredible. And I went and shadowed a radiologist for 4 hours, and I thought that was the worst thing ever. So that didn't end up panning out. And there was a couple of things, but really when I tell students, especially, I say, you in medical school, you start realizing who your people are and where you fit in. And the ER was from day one was always like, these are my people.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy for me. I also enjoyed a lot of different aspects of a lot of different things, and ER does a good job of bringing all that. I mean, I can be doing, an upper respiratory tract infection in room 1, and I can be taking care of abdominal pain in another run, and it's just all over the place. And so I love that. I love kind of keeping me on my toes.
What, as an ER doctor, I mean, because when you hear emergency room doctor, everyone thinks of, like shows, the TV shows, the drama. I'm sure that I'm sure that happens. Probably not as much in a smaller town, but what percentage of your job would you say is like high stress? Like this is not like that type of thing. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'd feel like 10, 15%.
Okay.
That's what I would say. The other is more routine stuff, routine abdominal pains. And, but when it's like really intense and like you said, life or death, I would say like 10%. Yeah. 1 in 10 patients is, if I don't make certain decisions, this patient's going to go in the wrong direction quick.
It's crazy because you said 10% at first. And I'm like, yeah, that's not super high. But when you look at it, 1 in 10 people, I might be saving this person's life.
Right.
That seems a lot higher of a percentage,
And it's funny because now, I've been doing this for a handful of years, and those are, I don't want to say routine, but like I see that every single day. I see somebody who could die almost every single day.
That's so crazier to think about.
I've gotten used to that. I don't want to say numb to that, but I would say like now it's a little more routine, and sometimes I have to pinch myself and say, okay, you need to realize what's going on here right now. Like this, this is kind of a life and death situation for this patient who's here on the worst day of their life, potentially, so I have to remind myself.
Well, if that happens every day. Like I tell people all the time how stressful my job is, right? Buying a house is one of the most stressful things someone can do sometimes, it's the biggest purchase of your life. Often it is. People's lives are, we're wearing the same socks today.
Yeah, I was going to say, I tried to.
People's lives, it's a big deal, right? People are making, sometimes there's jobs involved. There's a lot of moving parts in it, and it is stressful for people.
Hey, I would argue though that sometimes it feels like people care more about their money than their life.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Yeah. And I almost said something really bad, but I'm not going to say it.
We'll talk about it after.
It's not that bad. I'm going to say, when we have someone, if it's a bad situation and it's someone that's not happy, I mean, they're going to be really mad at us. I mean, if you have a bad situation, they're dead. I'm just joking.
Exactly.
Huge joke.
No pressure.
No pressure, because then you don't have to deal with them anymore. Kidding. Huge joke. But anyways, my job is stressful. I still believe that. But that's a whole other level. Yeah. Literally every day you could be saving or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of intense things, and for better, for worse, and you see both sides, and you see the people that come out of it and get to come back and thank you. And then you get to see the people that pass away and die. Yeah. And it's terrible. And so there's a lot of,
Are you able to share experiences without obviously giving, too much information?
Yeah.
Because I would like, if you could, I would like to hear a stressful situation that ended in a good ending.
Yeah, I have one of those. I mean, so I was actually thinking, I was worried you were going to ask this question a little bit. Not worried, just because I'm not good at coming with side things. Yeah, exactly. And there's lots of different categories of this for me. So things that are stressful or crazy in the ER are, sometimes they're really gross things. That's one category. And, I've delivered poop babies that are, would make you cringe, things like that. Right? Or, there's the really sad things, like the kids that pass away and things like that. And, that stuff you just never really come to terms with, right? So
that's what I always struggle with the most. Yeah. I think having young kids myself, whenever I hear, kid down in Phoenix or, any sad stories like that, it immediately made me emotional. I couldn't do it. I mean,
so I remember the first time I had an experience like that. I think Josie, my oldest, was 2 or 3 at the time. And I was in 3rd year of medical school, and I was at the burn rotation at Maricopa. It was the county hospital, Maricopa County Hospital. And so, I remember we're wheeling back a patient, or we're getting ready to wheel back a patient. I go in the room, and it's this 3-year-old kid who was unfortunately an abuse case. Mm-hmm. And so exact same age as my daughter, in pain, crying, terrified out of their mind. And immediately that just hit me right in the heart. Right. And so it just became more real. You just realize, these are real people. Mm-hmm. And anyway, that, not to bring it down a notch, right? But at the same time, it's just that's the real stuff we deal with all the time.
And that
it never gets easier.
Right. And
What's the stuff that never,
and what's crazy is you don't see it coming. Like all of a sudden, like you could be having a great day, all of a sudden, drop of a hat, you're in a life and death situation. Yeah.
exactly. I had another situation where I get out of my truck to go in for my shift and I hear the ambulance sirens behind me. I was like, oh, okay, what's going to be the first one? And I walk into the hospital and everybody's getting ready and they're like, we've got a drowning victim coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not looking good. And I've got a 12-hour shift to work, so this 2-year-old comes in and we worked on the 2-year-old for a little bit. And unfortunately, the 2-year-old passed away. And so that's how we start the day, and it's like, how do you then get through another 12 hours when you have that in the back of your mind processing, right? But then there's the amazing things, right? So then
That's a great story. You've got other people that can't let this affect the type of service that you're able to provide. I mean, that's it. Yeah. Hands down, harder job. Nobody's arguing with anyone about that. Yeah.
It's not easy. And there's a reason why, there's a high burnout rate. And anyway, you have to kind of keep perspective a lot of times, right? And so I just remind myself I'm dealing with people on the worst day of their lives every single day. And that's not my life. And so in other words, I can process that and be okay with that. But ultimately, I'm the one that's there for them and that's a special calling in and of itself to just kind of be somebody who can help them through that situation.
Yeah.
So anyway,
what's your schedule like as an ER doctor?
it's a little all over the place. In that, it's just like weekends, holidays and stuff like that will work. But so right now we do a rotation every month. Essentially there's and I'm typically on like 3 12-hour shifts a week, and that's usually lumped together. And then I'll have a few days off, which is really nice. I'm off more than I'm on, so that's a blessing. So I'm doing 12-hour shifts essentially.
Okay.
And I do 2 months of days, 2 months of nights, 2 months of days, and we just rotate back and forth. So we spread it out.
How many ER doctors are there? Like, are specifically here doing?
So I think we have 5 right now. And I hope I'm not leaving anybody out, but I think we have 5.
Just don't say anything.
We won't have. Well, I haven't dropped all of us names already. But yeah, 5 or 6 right now. A couple are part time. So we got an incredible crew of doctors.
How many there at a time? Is it just one or usually have 2?
Yeah, just one doctor on at a time. So the shifts are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And then, but there's 2 to 3 PAs on that are there with us. So we have a physician assistant that comes on at 9 a.m., sometimes noon, and then 3 p.m. as well. So,
another question I was going to ask you earlier, what percentage of people that come into the ER do you think probably should have just made an appointment? I feel so. I did orientation. I did EMT. Yeah, EMT. Yeah, right when I got back from vacation.
Yeah,
and I had to do a rotation there. And I'm not kidding. It seemed like every single person that came in, it's like, why are you in the ER? This is for emergencies.
So
cough.
Yeah. So it depends on how you define emergency, right? And everybody defines it a little bit differently. I would say 100% of those people think that they are having an emergency at that time.
Yeah.
And so, and don't oftentimes have the understanding to know maybe that it's not, right? Or the education to know this may be something that's an intense thing for you right now, that you can go see your primary care doctor for that. So and I have those conversations with people sometimes. Yeah. I would say that I'm even going to throw out 50% of the people that I see on a daily basis probably could see their primary care doctor.
Yeah.
What I think is pretty cool is a lot of this telehealth nowadays, because I think a lot of that stuff can be dealt with through telehealth. Just a quick phone call. I think of the amount of things I see on a daily basis that can probably be taken care of.
The thing that ER doctors and nurses that work there that have probably gotten annoyed with me, I don't like breathing issues when it comes to my kids. And so that's probably when I take my kids sooner than I need to. But I'm like, I'm not messing around. They're like, I think that's like a phobia of mine is having breathing issues or whatever. So whatever. And my kids, like Emery has some asthma and allergies and stuff. So whenever they say like croup scares the crap out of me. And I have, like, when they're babies, like if they're croupy, I'm like, let's go. Don't even mess with it. I don't want to mess with it. Like, you just go. And I'm sure, people there have rolled their eyes at me and like, I don't care. You're still getting paid. I'm still, I'll sleep at midnight.
Like on a weekend, like,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
You can't get into a PCP or it's in the middle of the night, and croup hits in the middle of the night
Every time.
single time.
And that's another cool thing about the teledoc stuff is because
Yeah.
we've done that. And I think we've had a couple of different experiences. One is like, yeah, just, monitor it. We've got like the finger thing that monitors the whatever. So like, yeah. And I've had one teledoc doctor say, yeah, you need to go ahead and take them in. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not overreacting a lot of times, but yeah.
That's why I try not to judge people, and I don't want them to feel like I'm judging them, right? I want anybody to feel comfortable coming to the ER at any time because that's why we're there. Yeah. We are an emergency department for a reason. And everybody's emergency is a little different, and everybody's tolerance for something, sickness is a little different.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we get maybe a little bit annoyed about sometimes is some people's tolerance for their own man cold is sometimes just really kind of pathetic. And I throw the man cold out because that's typically what it is. Some, 25-year-old guy whose mommy isn't feeding him Tylenol ibuprofen. So sorry if you're out there. I apologize, but we will probably laugh about that one. But yeah, I'm not in the group, of course.
Right. You have a lot of like frequent flyer type of people too.
We have a handful. We have some of our outline community based. Absolutely.
I'm sure some of them are. We have a little bit. I don't know if I call it a homeless problem, but do you see those types of individuals quite a bit? Like they're going more often than they should, or
So like I'll reference
it's a free bed and a free meal. Not to sound judgy.
Right.
Sometimes, and we tried not to feed into the pattern too much, right? So like we're pretty careful, but then at the same time too, a lot of these people have literally nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Right. And so to be a warm kind of safe place for someone like that, sometimes that's the role we got to play. And
it's okay. And you got to be careful too, because they can have an emergency as well. So when they came in and you said, oh, it's just that's a lawsuit potentially on your hand, so.
And really somebody getting hurt, somebody us missing something. And you're exactly right. So sometimes it's in that category of, I just need a safe place to be. And sometimes it's, this is actually, I've come in here 100 other times and everything's been okay, but this is the time where something really bad.
Yeah. So I have a funny ER story. I was driving home from work. I think it was when I was still working at the town Thatcher, and we lived on Robinson Ranch Road. I was driving home, and like 200 or 300 yards up the road, I see a car pull over abruptly. Someone gets out, slams the door, and then the car speeds off and drives away. And I'm like, oh, and so as I'm getting closer, it's this younger guy. I'm like, it looks like guy whose girlfriend just got in a fight, right? He got out of the car. He goes, I'm thinking I'm helping this guy out. So I pull over, I'm like, hey man, you know, right? And he's like, oh yeah. And I was like, okay, great. Where are you going? He's like, oh, just take me to the hospital. I was like, okay. So I started driving that way. Very quickly realized this was like schizophrenia. Like he was insane. Like I was a little bit scared, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this guy now. And so, he was saying threatening things, and I was like, so what really happened is someone was being nice and tried giving this guy a ride, probably realized you need to get out of my car. I was like, I don't want to escalate the situation. So I was just talking to him. He was saying some pretty interesting, scary things. He started throwing out some prayers to me and stuff, which is fine, but very, I was nervous.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So I went and, dropped him off, got him out as quick as I could. And then I went and found like a security officer and was like, hey, I just dropped this guy off. He's like, and I think they even knew who he was. But yeah, I found myself in a really weird situation. I thought I was just being nice. I'll give him a ride home. Poor guy in a fight with his girlfriend. And I was like, that's not what I did. Completely misread that situation.
No, exactly. So a few years ago, they did a community needs assessment in this area. And the two top things that they felt like we needed was more behavioral health providers and more people to take care of substance abuse, which is really the same problem, honestly. It's behavioral health. And so our community definitely suffers from that.
Yeah.
And I think most communities nowadays do. Honestly, like everywhere you can find that, unfortunately, but we really just don't have enough resources to take care of people. So we are, like I said, we are a warm, safe place for people that when they are in crisis, we're the place to do that.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So obviously super stressful job. What do you do to, when you have your 312s, then you have some days off, what do you do to kind of decompress? And I'm sure that's super important too.
So I go to my really quiet house with 6 kids, with the youngest 7 months old. I honestly, I do get a lot of comfort and I guess peace from, being a dad and going back home to my warm, safe environment, right?
Yeah.
But then I have lots of hobbies. Probably on the top of that list is hunting and fishing. I really love the outdoors. I have a passion for the outdoors. Enjoy actually videoing my hunts and things like that. And so that's probably kind of the top of the list.
But you have a YouTube, that's what your hat is, right?
Yeah.
Working YouTube channel.
I've got a little YouTube channel, BBAZ Outdoors, that I really enjoy. And really all it is, it's totally selfish. It's an opportunity for me to capture memories and go back and watch those memories myself.
Yeah.
So I've got all kinds of good stuff on there and catch myself going back and watching all.
How'd you get into that? Like, cause you do all the editing and stuff.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, how did you just kind of start messing around with it? And
so in 2018, my little sister had a deer hunt. She got drawn for a deer hunt. And, I had seen several other people starting to do like little YouTube channels, but really more than anything, just videoing their hunts and again, capturing some memories and being able to kind of replay those and go through those again. And so I decided I'm going to try that on this hunt. So I did, and I put together this little slideshow video, and it was nothing special, but it was really cool to be able to go back to that. So that's where it really started, and it has just unraveled since then. Multiple cameras and editing software and all kinds of stuff.
Hobbies do that, right?
Yeah, totally. I started to nerd out a lot with the video part of it, and honestly, to this day now, I enjoy videoing a hunt, one of my buddies' hunts or one of my buddies' kids' hunts just as much as I like going on my own.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, especially now with your own kids. Like, Bryson had his first chance at hunting last year as a 10-year-old. You have to be 10 to get a tag. And that was getting him his first deer was just as exciting as I've ever been on a DMI run. It's like, it's a lot of fun. So I've always wanted to dabble in that too. Like, I'll usually like video, the certain things, like the shot or whatever, like a phone scope just from my phone or anything, but I've never, an actual camera for it. But I've always thought that'd be a fun addition to my hobby, which is hunting.
Yeah, totally. Some of my favorite times are when I don't have the tag, and I'm not the dad too. Sometimes it's hard because when you're the dad, the pressure's on almost sometimes even more.
Yeah.
But if it's just one of my buddies' hunts or my buddies' kids' hunts or something like that, I really enjoy kind of capturing these shots of memories of them because, I've had actually a couple experiences with this. One in particular about, I think it was like 3 years ago, we went on this elk hunt with my father-in-law and one of his buddies. And then he ended up passing away from COVID like 6 months later.
Oh, wow.
And so it was one of the last hunts.
Your father-in-law's buddy.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was one of the last hunts that he ever got to go on. Mm-hmm. And, capturing him. And I, now looking back, I wish I'd had the camera on him the whole time.
Right.
Honestly. And just asking questions and capturing those moments. Mm-hmm. And, so now I have that in the back of my mind. When is it the last time when is this going to be the last hunt for me for my kid or for somebody else? And you just want to be able to just remember those things. So.
Yeah. I've essentially had that same type of thought, like, with this just podcast. I'm like, because back in the day, it was always journaling, right? You always heard, take a journal for your kids. They want to know about you. They might not right now, but later on in life, they're going to want to know about their dad. And I don't journal at all. Yeah. But I've had the thought of like, it's going to be kind of cool that this is going to be on the web for when my kids are old and my grandkids that didn't know very well, they're going to get to know me a little bit because they'll come back and kind of watch something like that. So I've never mentioned that, but that's also been kind of a little bit of a motivator for me to do this because that's a cool side effect of it. Yeah. Yes.
Or it's still journaling. It's just
exactly.
Journal.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
It is. Part of what I love too is passing on this skill to other people, right? And how-to videos and things like that. Mm-hmm. But really more, again, gearing that towards my kids in the future or my grandkids in the future. I think it's so cool for my grandkid to pull up one of my videos and say, how did grandpa, do this or that? And I think that'd be kind of fun. So anyway,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
How many videos do you have out? I mean, do you have like quite a bit, or how often do you post, I guess, a new video?
Not enough.
You're limited because hunting season is only half the year. So, and you have so many hunts.
So there's that also season of life too right now, right?
Yeah.
For me, I've got so much going on with all my kids and all that stuff. So I don't have time to sit down and edit and do all these extra videos like I probably would want and could. So for me, I'm throwing out like 5 to 10 videos a year, something like that.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty good.
And honestly, it's a lot of fun just to do that. If I can get out for 4 or 5 different hunts in a year, that's a pretty awesome year. So, and I've got several things kind of in the pipeline right now that I've been working on, and a couple of my buddies keep hounding like, "Hey, when are you going to put that antelope video out?" And Jonesy's going to save lives. We have Tyso. I'll do it. I promise. Okay, get on my back.
Come on, Jeff. Jeff needs to just relax.
Seriously. But then I plans to go on, some other hunts this year.
Which one are you going on? You're going out of state.
So I've got an Kodiak, Alaska blacktail hunt. And I'm really excited about it.
So jealous.
That's going to be, as long as I don't get eaten by a brown bear, it's going to be awesome.
Dude,
I'm a little scared.
It's a blacktail hunt.
It's a blacktail. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, one Kodiak.
I have my bucket list hunts, and they're both in Alaska. Like, I want to do a moose hunt in Alaska, and honestly, I would love to do a grizzly bear hunt in Alaska. And I say things like this, I would probably never actually do it, but the excitement of doing a brown bear hunt with a bow would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think I have the guts. But yeah, Alaska's a dream of mine. I'll definitely do that. It's especially eventually. I'll let you go and figure it out, and I'll go with you on the next one.
Deal.
Yeah, that's good. Because there's a lot that goes to it. I mean, a lot of
logistics.
Yes, that's what it does. Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
When is it? When did you say you're going?
1st of December, and then we've got Josie and I got.
Yeah, I'm not.
Cold.
I'm not really immersed in the hunting world yet. I've gone hunting.
Yeah.
December in Alaska sounds miserable.
So I'm expecting some misery. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. As I understand, there's different tactics when it comes to hunting up there. And I think that most of the blacktail hunts are actually more like September, October, specifically like October. But I guess in this particular area, when the weather kind of comes in, it will push all these deer down towards the coastal areas, or like on the beaches, right? So it change your tactics into cruising around on a boat and finding those deer. Then you'll find what you're looking for. You'll dock the boat, however that happens. And I've never done this before.
Dude,
we'll see how this goes.
Because you're going to see so many other cool things.
I think so.
There, like
your bears will be probably down there on the beach too. So I'm like, is that really a good tactic? Is this same?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be cold, but I mean, that'd be so much fun.
I do love the show Meat Eater, and Steven Rinella puts it really great when he says, like, when you get through like the suck,
yes,
you have a way better story than like if you go on a roller coaster. If you're not going to go tell your friends about this roller coaster you went on,
right?
You're going to tell your friends about the week you spent in Alaska.
Right.
Well, must through the
yeah. There's the hunting community. I feel like has 2 different types. You have the type that likes to go and ride out on the rangers and just ride roads and drink, have a good time, eat snacks.
Yeah.
Which I've done that. That's a great time. That's fun, especially with kids. That's when you have a lot of fun with kids. So there's that type that's much more laid back and relaxed. You're not getting off the road a whole lot. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. And then you have the type that enjoy the suck and getting out and hiking. And I like both, but I remember the harder hunters much more than the other ones. They're both enjoyable. They're both fun. Have you ever heard of the book or in the book? I think it's called Embrace the Suck.
I haven't.
I think that's what it's called, but that's basically what it's about. It's like when you put yourself through those super hard experiences, when you get through it, that's when you're like, man, that was a cool experience. Like that's what I enjoy, but it also does suck. And the cold is something that I like to, I like to suck comfortably.
I know that like me much as I need to,
But when it's freezing and it's just miserable, that's tough. Yeah.
So I finished a book called The Comfort Crisis, which is is that what it is?
I've read that one too.
And it's a similar concept. Yeah. And that the guy actually is going through a caribou hunt. And keeps bringing it up throughout the book, and it's a really good book. But it's talking about how so much of the problems in our current society, anxiety, depression, etc., are based on the fact that we don't have enough hard things in our lives now.
Yeah.
Because things are pretty easy. It's comfortable, right? So I just find things to kind of gripe about and be depressed about and be anxious about, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's good for the human body to get out and do something absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many times I've gone on some intense hike. When I get back to the truck, man, I have a newfound gratitude for the truck. Yeah. To be able to ability to just go like this and go forward as opposed to walking up.
Yeah. And that in and of itself is a luxury that we have. We have to go and seek out this.
Yes.
That's stuff. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, none of us had life.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you didn't, sorry, you were going to die.
Yeah.
You weren't going to survive.
Yeah. Back in the day, the journey itself was the stuff. Now we can ride in a truck to where we want to go and experience that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
right.
But we did a little overnighting backpacking trip. Me and my two brothers-in-law a couple of years ago. And yeah, it was a rough hike. And I remember just after one day, my feet were freaking killing me. But we hiked up, it was up in Unit 27, which is above Moritzi. It was like called Strawberry Canyon or something like that, Strawberry Trail or whatever. And it wasn't even that long of a hike, but at the very end of it, we decided to get off trail and do like 1,000-foot climb. And we're like, all right, we're going to camp on top of that mountain. And the hike sucked. But once we got up there, like you could see all the way around. It was freaking awesome. We saw some elk. We saw some nice deer. We found a shed. It was a super cool experience. And then the next morning when we hiked back down again, like it sucked. Our feet were killing us, but then there's a stream and we took our boots off and put our aching feet in the water. And like, that was like pure bliss, like simply just put my feet in a creek. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So it's true. I mean, you've got to experience super hard things to really enjoy some super simple things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, you said that you got to get, Cassie said she's got somewhere that she needs to be.
Yeah.
So
she's got something going on. Can't remember. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, we'll tell people about your YouTube channel. Maybe we'll get you a few more, maybe our few followers will tell your
Sounds good.
few followers too. So,
And for the record, I subscribe to the podcast today.
Yeah. I was thinking probably about 50% of our followers are people that actually been on the show. But
yeah, it's okay. That's how it starts.
yeah, no, we're not trying to get big. Like I said, if nothing else, this is just something that my kids can watch down the road.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody yesterday, like, if not a single person watched, and we've said this on YouTube before, not a single person watched, I would still do it because it's fun to get to.
Yeah. When I told David that you were coming on, I was like, yeah, I've heard that name, but I don't think I've ever had a conversation with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're looking forward to just talking to you. So
Yeah, because your brother McKay was more my age. So I don't think we've ever been able to sit down. So anyway, we can go do dinner or something one of these days.
Golf. You need to take me hunting.
A deal. Yeah. We'll both take you out there.
I didn't go golf.
We can go golf.
yeah.
Yeah, we can golf. We weren't going to bring up my atrocious golf. Dude, I told you there was one thing that was off limits.
But it's not atrocious. So that's the thing. I golfed with
the other day.
twice, and I think I golfed with you twice, and both times you were solid.
Some good shots and some bad shots.
Yep.
Some occasion.
It's the one good shot out of every 10 shots.
You know what?
Keep you going.
That's right. That's right.
Back to you gotta experience the sun. That golf is the perfect analogy for that because
Golf is life.
dude, I golfed with Levi yesterday, and I shot a 4 a.m. before I came to work, Davis. All right. As I big chill, starting to go into Mindy last summer. Mindy gave me so much crap. I'm like, Mindy. She's like, what, are you going golfing again? I'm like, Mindy, stop. Anyways, I shot a 52 on the front nine. Terrible. I can't remember the last time I shot in the 50s. And then in the back nine, I shot a 39.
Oh man, 40 even like that.
Yeah, which I don't do a whole lot. And so I really appreciated the back nine.
Yeah.
But honestly, at the end of the day, I'm still ticked off because then I'm thinking, man, if I could have just had a good front, I've never broken 80. Could have been, the day that me and you and Levi played, front 9, I shot a 40 and then I fell apart on the back 9. So,
You know what that means? You just need to go out and play more. Or just like more and more and more.
yeah,
Probably buy some new clubs.
you're right. I think the new clubs is probably the next step.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then playing a lot more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I saw a meme or something that said,
He's going to go play blackjack and hit one blackjack, and he's going to take your advice.
Takes me advice.
I put it somewhere. Yeah. But no, I saw a meme that said my wife, something to the fact that my wife gets mad at me. My wife wouldn't be as mad at me for golfing as much as I do if she realized that I don't golf nearly as much as I want to. So, luckily I have a wife that's super understanding with the hobbies that I have. And thing with golf and hunting and it's fun to have kids that like to do that too, because then you get to do your hobby even more, but you're spending time with the kids, which is good.
My wife even says, if I got a kid with me, then it doesn't count. Like, it's, I'm like, okay, sounds good.
Right.
So you can I pick my favorite?
You don't have a favorite kid, do you?
Definitely not.
Me either.
Idea.
Yeah.
It's easy when you only have
one kid. Yeah.
Such
Little Lila. Little sweetheart.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that's been awesome, man.
Appreciate it.
It's a fun topic to you. So, if you ever need an ER doctor,
Go to the ER. Yeah.
cool, man. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Like Gucci.